Hello and welcome to the Let It Ride podcast, coming at you to preview the NFC, the last in our series of off-season episodes. The next time you see me, I'll be giving out my picks for week one, but this week, breaking down the NFC, you may remember Josh as my first co-host on this show about 3 years ago. He now has his own show, Highly Opinionated. You can catch him on YouTube. Josh, how you doing, bud?
I am good, brother. How are you, Jeff?
Oh, I can't complain, man. Life is good. The NFL's starting. The family's all healthy. I can't ask for anything else, man. This is the best time of the year for me.
Absolutely, man. Life is great. Before we get started, I just want to say this. Every time I'm on the show with you, I always got to give you credit. There would be no highly opinionated without this young man sitting to the left of me. Thank you very much for opening up the Let It Ride podcast to me, allowed me to get my Sports Joneses off. You've seen what we've created over at Highly Opinionated. You're more than welcome to come on Highly Opinionated anytime. I'm sure we have some collabs we'll be doing.
Oh yeah.
People in the future.
Yeah, we gotta keep doing these home and homes, man. So I owe you an appearance after this one, but we're gonna dive right in. We're gonna preview the NFC. We're gonna go division by division. I'm gonna give out a prop bet on each team, and at the end of each segment, we're gonna pick a division winner. We're gonna start, Josh, since you are a Baker Mayfield, Tampa Bay Buccaneers fan. We're gonna start with your division with the NFC South. Your Bucks are favored at plus 170. We have the Saints at plus 270. The Panthers plus 310. The Falcons at plus 400. But I actually want to start with a team that I'm very high on this year. It is the New Orleans Saints. As I said, they're plus 270. Tyler Shuck came in last year, the second half of the season, a ready-made rookie at 27 years old entering this season. So not your typical second-year quarterback coming in as a grown man, 27 years old. The Jordan Tyson injury is a bit concerning, but they add Travis Etienne in the offseason, a solid O-line, Chris Olave, Juwan Johnson, Noah Fant, some guys for Shuck to get the ball to. So the first prop bet I'm going to give out on this one is Tyler Shuck over 3,449 and a half passing yards. He hit 2384 in just 10 games last year, so extrapolate that over a 17-game schedule. He's projected to get over 4,000 yards. I think he's going to go over this prop with ease.
I love the Tyler Shuck pick. I think Tyler Shuck right now, as we currently are speaking, I think he was the best quarterback in that draft class, 2025. I think he was the best quarterback. So I definitely think the Saints have the quarterback of the future. I believe in Tyler Shuck. I think they have the head coach of the future in Kellen Moore. You can see the Saints gradually improving as the season progressed last season, especially the back half of the season. What you want when you're bad, you start bad, but you want to see progression towards the middle and the end of the season. We saw that with the Saints. We both saw that. Everyone else saw that. So I love what you're saying with the Saints. My only concern about them, the injuries. We have Jordan Tyson now. I know he was going to split carries with Travis Etienne. I guess he changed his last name. So I don't know. But the running back from they used to play with Jacksonville and Clemson, Travis. And Alvin Kamara's hurt. So to me, that's an injury. They have an injury on their offensive line. One of their offensive linemen, a couple of their offensive linemen is hurt. They lost Brian Brzee, defensive lineman. I know some of the Saints fans not the biggest fans of him, but they lost him. So for me, and they lost some veteran leadership. Mario Davis left. The Saints went to the Jets. So for me, before training camp started, I was going to pick the Saints to win this division. I was right there with you. I was going to pick the Saints to win this division right before training camp started. Since we've had training camp, since we've seen it progress, good days and bad days, I will not be picking the Saints to win this division.
Yeah, but you have to say that with the injuries in the running back room, that lends itself to my prop bet here with Tyler Shuck going over his passing total.
Oh, I love your Tyler Shuck passing total just because, again, I think highly of him. I put it to you like this. I know Bryce Young has been in the league longer. You can make a case he's the second best quarterback in that division right now. Tyler Shuck.
He might be older than Bryce Young too. Yeah, they're probably about the same age.
Yeah, probably around the same age. If not, Tyler Shuck definitely might be older, at least by a year or two. So for me, I love the Tyler Shuck bet. I would be in love with it if they would have had his full weapon. But you have a Juwan Johnson, tight end, who can move the sticks, a versatile tight end. He had almost 1,000 yards last season, slightly above 900. For me, no, I'm sorry, he almost had 900 yards, slightly above 800 last season. Again, Chris Olave, a healthy Chris Olave. He wasn't healthy throughout the whole season last season. Let's hope and pray, knock on wood, that he's healthy. The Saints got some weapons. The running backs can catch the ball. So we know the Saints, they should be able to move the ball. So that's why their yards total with Tyler Shuck, to me, that's a gold mine.
Yeah. Liking that one. So we're going to move on to your Bucks. They are the favorites in the division in this division at plus 170. Obviously, they lose Mike Evans. They have an aging roster. We watched Egbuka kind of really hot start off hot last year. Looked like he was going to be a legit number one receiver. Kind of fell off. So we'll see if he can regain his form from the beginning of the season. What I really wanted to focus in on here is Bucky Irving. I feel like a lot of people have forgotten about Bucky Irving because he had that great rookie season. He kind of fell off last year with the injuries. Rashad White is gone now, so he kind of has that backfield to himself. His rushing total on DraftKings sitting at 799 and a half. Not only did I write that down to give out in this segment, I immediately bet that as soon as I saw it. I thought that yardage total is way too low. Usually when I see a total like this, I'm like, okay, why is it low? Why am I thinking it should be higher? You know, what am I not seeing here? This one, I'm like, oh no, they just got this one wrong. I think he's going to fly over this total. I think it's 1,000-yard season is incoming for Bucky Irving, especially with the loss of Mike Evans. You're going to see more of an emphasis on the running game. I love Bucky Irving basically over 800 yards this season.
Yeah, I think that's a solid. I think that's a steal. Even though they've signed Kenneth Gainwell, I can see them doing a Pony Express, what I call the two running backs on the field at the same time. I could see them lining Gainwell and Bucky Irving up in the as a wide receiver slide, outside wide, just as he's playing the position doesn't necessarily mean he's getting the ball, but just line them up there wide. They could do that. So Bucky Irving is not injured. He was injured partly last season as well. If he's not injured, he's going to get 1,000 yards because Tampa Bay is going to put an emphasis on dominating both lines of scrimmages, offensive line. They're getting that offensive lineman back. Let's go back. Last season, Tampa Bay started week 1. They didn't have their starting 5 offensive linemen throughout the whole season. They might have had them for a short period of time, and then guys kept getting hurt. So you have Tristan Wirfs, you have Brian Brzezin, you have the center. What's his name? Went to Graham Barton. You have Cody Mott, and then you have the right tackle. I forgot his name. Was slipping my mind now. But they'll have their offensive line back. So for me, Luke Gedeke is the right tackle. So for me, Bucky Irving is going to get over 800 yards. 799, that's a steal.
Yeah, especially playing in this division. Got the Panthers at plus 310, and this is the team that I really wanted to key on. I told you before we started I had a blazing hot take on a certain team in this division. It is the Carolina Panthers. If you look at their schedule, they play a brutal schedule. They have to play the NFC North. The NFC North, I think, is the best division in football. All 4 of those teams are better than this Panthers teams. They play the Seahawks, the Eagles, and the Broncos with a first-place schedule. They play the AFC North. So you have the 2 bad teams in the AFC North, but they catch Baltimore and Cincinnati at home, but then you catch Cleveland and Pittsburgh, the 2 winnable games. They catch them on the road. And I also think they're the worst team in this division. I don't think you're going to see the Panthers be favored in more than 2 to 3 games this year. I'm not sold on Bryce Young. I'm taking under their win total. That's a given. I think they could be the worst team in football. My bet on them is to have the worst record in football. That's plus 1,500. So a bit of a lottery ticket, but with the schedule and the regression, we saw them win a lot of lucky games last year, really get lucky to steal the division from your Bucks at the end of last season. I think this team is in line for a huge regression. I think they're going to win 3 to 4 games. So worst record at plus 1,500 for the Carolina Panthers.
Yeah, DraftKings had the Carolina Panthers win total at 7.5.
I'm going way under that. Way under.
I think the saving grace for the Panthers is I think what you think of the Panthers, I think it could be the Falcons only because of the quarterback work.
Okay.
Because Michael Penix is injured. Tua, they saying if Michael Penix was there, he would have the job. You know what I'm saying? And Tua is there. Tua is the healthiest quarterback. So for me, I think what you think of the Panthers, it could be the Falcons because of quarterback play. I'm not sold on Bryce Young either as an NFL starting caliber quarterback, but can't take away from him. Yeah, Tampa Bay collapsed, but he did lead his team to the playoffs and gave the Rams a hell of a game.
He did. Yeah, but I think the problem is that a lot of people are only remembering that game and they're not remembering the first 4 years of what we saw from Bryce Young. Not only that, this Panthers team, I feel like they're really, really reliant on Jonathan Brooks. They're counting on him finally being healthy. He's played 2 seasons in the league, hasn't taken a snap. We have not seen this dude play, and they're kind of counting on him to be part of that running back by committee back there. They kept Chuba Hubbard and lost Rico Dowdle. So without Rico Dowdle, they're really counting on Brooks to just come in, sight unseen and be the running back 2 in this offense. And this has always been an offense that really leans heavy on having 2 running backs, and I just don't see him able to carry that workload given the way that he started his career with the injuries.
Well, for me, I got a question about the number 2 receiver. Who's the number 2 receiver to Tyler
That too. That too.
We saw a little bit of Jalen Coker. Is that his name? 18, I think. Jalen Coker. So I don't know how much you can depend on that. For me, the Panthers definitely have questions. And again, I don't want to take nothing away from them. People know I like Tampa Bay, so anything I say about teams in this division, they're already gonna think, I'm hating on the other team. I'm not hating on the team, but a blind man could see how Carolina made the playoffs last year. Let's just say the Bucks were 6-2. I'll just leave it at this. Seattle had 3 losses all season last year. They lost to San Francisco, and they lost to San Francisco. They lost to the Rams, and they lost to old measly Tampa Bay in Seattle.
Yep.
So that showed what capability the Bucks could have been, and they collapsed. So
yeah.
Carolina's a good team, but I think this division, I don't think they'll win a division 2 years in a row.
Yeah. So that moves us on to the final team. So you already told me that you're down on this team. I got a lot of questions about this team as well. It's going to be Tua, whether it's going to be Penix. You could see Cooper Rush starting games for this team. He's the third string there. I mean, over under is Cooper Rush going to start 6 games? I might take the over, given the injury histories of the two other quarterbacks on this roster. But still a ton of talent at the skill positions. You have Bijan, you have Drake London, you have Kyle Pitts, AJ Terrell, Jesse Bates in the secondary, Xavier Watts. This might be the best secondary in the division. They add Mike Hughes as well. But that's it. They have the skill position. They have the secondary. But like you said, too many questions at the quarterback position for me to really play anything on this team except for a prop. So the prop I'm going to take here, I'm going to take Bijan Robinson over 62.5 receptions. We've seen Tua Tagovailoa. He loves to dump the ball off. We saw him dump it off to Devon a chain. He likes to get rid of the ball quick. He likes to go to the check down. I think that's going to mean Bijan getting the ball a lot in the passing game. This is not going to be a very good team. We both agree on that. They're going to be playing from behind. They're going to be throwing the ball a lot. So when you have a talented running back and you aren't able to run the ball because you're losing, you get on the ball out of the backfield through the passing game. So I think over 62.5 receptions for Bijan Robinson is pretty much a lock here.
The Falcons got so much talent that I'm looking at their win total DraftKings 7.5. They just might win. They could be 8-9. And I know I trash the quarterback play, but that defense that you mentioned, that secondary, you got the Terrell brothers, you got Watts, you got what's the other safety back there? Bates.
Yeah, Jesse Bates and Xavier Watts. Yeah, they got solid safeties.
So I mean, that's the best, in my opinion. I think they got the best secondary in the division.
Yeah.
So they could win 8 games. To me, the biggest concern for me, offensive line play. Their offensive line injuries last year. McGregor got hurt, trying to work himself back from an injury to right tackle, and then the quarterback situation. You got a quarterback that doesn't want to get hit, and then you got Tua Tagovailoa, and then you got a quarterback who is just, in my opinion, he can throw the deep ball great, but he can't check. He's basically he's a home run hitter. He's gonna hit home runs. He can't hit singles. And for me, the Falcons, man, they just got too much talent. Then on offense, you got Bijan Robinson, you signed Kyle Pitts, you got Drake London, you got Zachariah Branch, rookie from Georgia, another speedster to add to the team. Man, they got everything they need. They just don't have the quarterback.
The most important thing.
They don't have the most important position, which is the quarterback position. But the Falcons have everything. Again, me studying this division and knowing this division well. Again, I was going to pick the Saints before the preseason, before the training camp started. And then I'm like, if the Falcons could just get adequate quarterback play, they can win this division. And they have not got adequate quarterback play during the preseason as of yet. So, man, I had hopes for the NFC South that it wouldn't be the worst division in football this upcoming season, but it's looking like it might just be that.
Yeah. At least top to bottom. I mean, you have the AFC East that has 2 bad teams, but you have 2 teams that are, most likely locks for the playoffs, and the Patriots and the Bills. Top to bottom, this has to be the worst division, unfortunately. Again,
I wasn't here with you obviously when we did the AFC show. I'm gonna just say this. I don't know I know we're sticking on NFC, but I'm not saying the Jets are going to be great, but I think they will be a much improved football team. You have 3 first-round picks. You infuse that with talent. You're going to be better. The Patriots, I think they're going to be what they were. They add A.J. Brown to what they already got. They're going to be better because now Drake May has a number 1 option he can throw the ball to. And then Buffalo, again, they can hire me, you, they can hire our kids. Until they get somebody to really work on that defense, they have not improved that defense. They just went out and signed DJ Moore. That's great. So they lost the playoff game 33-30. They scored enough points with Brandon Cooks out there. They can't
Yeah.
get stops when you need to get stopped. So I think the AFC East is going to be a little better than what most people think. I'm not picking the Jets to make the playoffs. I just think they'll be a much improved football team. They'll be a hard out for teams.
Yeah. I mean, they'll be better than the Dolphins. They won't be the worst team in
Oh
that
yeah,
division.
yeah. You ain't hear me say nothing about them. We know what they're doing. They tanking for the #1 pick next year, whatever quarterback they would like.
Yeah. So that brings us to the moment of truth here. We both got to pick a winner for the NFC South. We've kind of already touched on who I'm going to pick, so I'm going to give you the floor.
So for me, I'm not doing this because I'm a homer. I'm doing this because I think they're the best team. I'm gonna take the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at plus 170, laying that on DraftKings. I think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers win the division. I'm gonna give you a couple names to look out for. Watch out for, in my opinion, one of the defensive rookie of the year candidates, and Ruben Bain Jr. He's gonna be a monster in Tampa Bay. And watch out for a young lad in the secondary by the name of Keontae Scott. He was drafted in the 4th round out of Miami. I watched him play a lot last year. Electric. He's the one that caught that interception against Ohio State in not the Fiesta Bowl. What's the goat in Texas? The Cotton Bowl, and took it basically from Julian Sand and took it straight back to the house. Watch out for Keontae Scott. But for me, taking the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to win the South.
So I told you I was going to take the Saints before training camp. You said you were as well. You changed course. I'm sticking with it. I'm sticking with the Saints here at plus 270. I'm just going to trust my judgment. The injuries are a little bit scary, but they should get Jordan Tyson back. It's still a much improved team. Tyler Shuck, an ascending quarterback. Like I said, they add Noah Fant, Juwan Johnson, Chris Olave. He's got guys to throw the ball to. I think Travis Etienne should be able to give them some semblance of a running game. If Alvin Kamara comes back, gives you a veteran presence in that backfield that can catch passes as well. I just think this Saints team is going to play really well. They play an easy schedule, and I think they're going to take the NFC South here.
When you do shows like this, people want you to go back and forth and argue. I can't argue with one word that you said, because literally, like I said, if it wasn't for these injuries, I would have picked the Saints. For every reason that you said, easy schedule, can land into the schedule. They got hard landmine games, including week 1 at Detroit. But let's just hypothetically say, for the sake of argument, they shocked the world and win that game. Now you feel me? What's hard? What's easy? You get what I'm saying? So for me, I don't hate your pick at all, man.
No, yeah, and I mean, I honestly think it's going to come down to the head-to-head games between those two teams. It's going to decide this division because, like we said on the Falcons, we're down in the quarterback play, and I'm not sold on the Panthers at all. So it's going to come down to those head-to-head games, as it often does in a lot of these division races, and that's going to take us on to the division that houses my team, my Dallas Cowboys, the NFC East, the Philadelphia Eagles favored at plus 120. My Cowboys sitting at plus 205. The Washington Commanders at plus 500. We got the New York Giants at plus 600. Might as well start with my Dallas Cowboys sitting at plus 205, a much improved defense. They improve on the defensive interior that has plagued this team for the last few years. The worst defense in football the last 2 years running, historically bad defense. They add Quinnen Williams, Kenny Clark, Rashawn Gary. You get DeMarion Overshown back. You add Caleb Downs in the draft, Malachi Lawrence in the draft, D. Winters, a sneaky good add in free agency to linebacker from the San Francisco 49ers. They improved on the worst defense in the NFL. They add Barham for linebacker depth in the draft as well. Obviously, you have Dak, you have CD, you have George Pickens, you have a weapon at kicker. I'm very high on my team going into this year, trying not to get too excited, but this is the best, the most optimistic I've been on my team in a while. My bet for this one, I talked about how I think the defense is going to improve. Who's going to get the credit for it? It's going to be the rookie, Caleb Downs, defensive rookie of the year at plus 700. I think you see him get in there, force some turnovers, really help turn around this Cowboys defense. And I think that turnaround is going to give him the narrative to win defensive rookie of the year at plus 700.
Don't mind that at all. I have three candidates for defensive rookie of the year: Ruben Bain Jr., Caleb Downs. What I've seen so far, my man, no gloves. My man with the Jets, David Bailey the third, or is he a junior or third? He's a problem. So I'm looking forward to hopefully more rookies step up. But those 3 rookies, to me, you can just see already, like they have it already.
Yeah.
As far as your Cowboys, for me, at plus 220, plus 205 on DraftKings. You want me to save it for later? You want me to just?
I mean, if you're gonna pick them, man, you might as well tell me now.
Okay. Not only am I picking the Cowboys to win the NFC East, what were you doing in January of 1996?
Let's see. January of '96, I would have been in fourth grade.
Fourth grade.
So I was going to Miss Lazarchek's class at Beltsville Academic Center.
Beltsville Academic Center. Miss Fairland.
Lazarchek, yeah.
Lazarchek. Miss Lazarchek. That was the last time. Now, I'm not picking the Cowboys to go to the Super Bowl. To me, there's a clear favorite in the NFC.
Obviously.
Going to the Super Bowl. So I think we all understand that. But I think the Cowboys have a good enough team to play in the game before the Super Bowl. And they haven't played in that game since 1996. And that would be the NFC, that would be the NFC Championship game. I am in love with this Dallas Cowboy team for everything that you said, but I'm going to put the cherry on top. Shh. They've been quiet this offseason.
They have been.
Dallas. They just been working like a steady NFL organization. Can you believe it? Nobody is talking. No one is saying anything. If they put a microphone in your face, okay, fine, you do that. But no one is seeking publicity. We obviously know what I'm talking about. And I love Mr. Jerry Jones. I think Jerry Jones is one of the best owners in sports history. But I've always felt like that has been a hindrance to his organization. But the Cowboys, it's more glitz and glamour than it is substance. This year they have substance. And let me give you a name. You mentioned Caleb Downs. It's another rookie on that defense. He actually calls the defense. His name is Christian Parker. I think Christian Parker will be the best signing of it. I think he will be the best defensive signing of a coach all offseason. I think the best offensive signing all offseason is that young man, Mr. in LA, Mr. Mike McDonald. It will be the offensive coordinator, Mike McDaniel. Excuse me,
Mike McDaniel. Yep.
I get them confused all the time. Mike McDaniel, the offensive coordinator, new offensive coordinator for the LA Chargers. I think that'll be the best offensive hire. The best defensive hire would be Christian Parker, along with the names that you mentioned. The Cowboys, and let me say this: the last thing, they went out and got an established veteran in that pass rush room. They can laugh at Von Miller all they want. Von Miller had 9 sacks last year for the Cowboys. He may not be the same Von Miller of old, but Malachi Lawrence, who else? The other pass rusher, because I like Devon Azaraki.
Azaraki, yeah.
I like him too. They should. I'm not saying this in no sexual type manner. They should be on the hip of Von Miller. Von Miller go up, they should go up. Von Miller saying, "Man, I'm going to the ice tub, the ice up." They should go to the ice tub and ice up and ask as many questions as they can. This Cowboys team, Cowboys will win the NFC East. It ain't even no question.
I hope you're right. They were going to be my pick as well, kind of burying the lead on that. Usually save that for the end of the segment, but I hate to be a homer, but hearing you say it makes me feel a little better about the pick. We're still going to continue on with the rest of the division, though. Oh, go ahead.
Not bad, bro. Let me say one more thing. The Cowboys over-under is 9.5. They're going over that. The Cowboys are going to win probably 11 to 12 games this year. The offense,
I hope to see it.
Barring injury, if the offense does not get hurt, I already know what they expect from them. Brian Schottenheimer. Brian Schottenheimer is a real NFL coach. I saw glimpses of that last year. When they lost Marshawn Nealon, the team came together. He got the team right. If the Cowboys didn't have the worst defense ever, they would have won the NFC East last year because Philly was trying to hand it to them. So for me, now Philly ain't got A.J. Brown. We'll talk. Well, hopefully we get to them in the next team. The Cowboys are going to win this division.
That's a good segue to the Philadelphia Eagles. They're favored at plus 120 to win this division. As you said, they lose A.J. Brown, an aging offensive line. The left tackle already came out and said this is going to be his last season. I think Jalen Hurts is regressing. Saquon Barkley doesn't look the same at all. They add Mekhi Lemon in the draft. They add Eli Stowers in the draft as well. So just trying to replace Goddard, trying to replace who's on his way out as well, trying to replace A.J. Brown, trying to fill the holes that they have popping up on this offense. Can't knock the defense. The defense still looks great. They add Reek Woolen to a secondary that already has Mitchell and DeJean. So should be a really good defense, should be a really good secondary. But the team as a whole, I think I've seen too much regression out of Jalen Hurts and too much regression out of Saquon Barkley. We've seen this a number of times. Anytime a running back just gets, I think it's more than 380 touches in a season, their careers are just never the same. We saw it happen to Jamal Anderson and with the Falcons. You can't just force feed a running back that many times, take that many hits. They're just not going to be the same guy anymore. I think the Eagles have lost their identity. I don't think they're going to be a very good team. Not willing to put my money on it. My money is actually going to go it's just the best bet in sports. Just bet on the tush push. They're going to give it to Hurts at the goal line. That's never going to go away from their offense. My futures bet here is going to be Jalen Hurts over 7.5 rushing touchdowns. I don't think he's a very good quarterback, but that is one skill you can't take away from him. He gets pushed into the end zone very well. So over 7.5 rushing touchdown for Hurts. But I am down on this Eagles team.
Okay, I'm gonna get to what we agree on second. I'm gonna get to what we disagree on first. I think Jalen Hurts is a good quarterback. Is he the best? Hell no. But he's a good quarterback. He's a quarterback that you can obviously win a Super Bowl with. Now you can say the team was stacked. I get that, but you still gotta go out there. You still have to go out there, perform, and produce. He did that. He deserves his credit for that. He was a winner in college. I understand he got benched in the national championship game for Tua Tagovailoa, but guess what? It was in the national championship game. How did they get there? Jalen Hurts helped them get there, so he should get credit for that. So I disagree with you. I think he's a good quarterback, not great, but good. I think he gets. I think he gets. And I'm not saying this to you, bro. You know that's all love. I love it. But I think he gets slightly disrespected by the media. I'm not a fan of that because he is a Super Bowl winning quarterback. He should get some credit for that. Now,
so is Sam Darnold, but
yeah, but let me say this: I have to do a top 10 quarterback list in the next couple of weeks. Sam Darnold will be in that because not only let's be fair now. To be fair to Sam has had 2 good seasons in a row. Yeah, he had a good year last year with Seattle. He had a great year with Minnesota. And Minnesota, I bet you Minnesota wish they had him right now.
Yeah, they sure do.
Minnesota had Sam Darnold and Daniel Jones and chose J.J. McCarthy over both of them. Yep. Crazy. Getting back to the Philadelphia Eagles. My favorite bet for the Eagles. Looking at the Eagles win total 10.5 under.
Yeah,
for everything that you said. I'm not disrespecting Jalen Hurts by not. I'm gonna give you my bold take now. I'm not disrespecting Jalen Hurts in saying this, but let's go through history because there have been better quarterbacks than I think of Jalen Hurts and their team not make the playoffs. The Eagles are not making the playoffs, and the reason why the Eagles are not making the playoffs, they have 1 foot in and 1 foot out. The offensive lineman has already said this is gonna be his last season. He already out the door. I don't give a damn what he do. His mind is okay. Let's just get. Now I'm not saying let's just get the season with, but they're not gonna win the Super Bowl, so we understand like. This is your swan song season. Vic Fangio, defensive coordinator. I think that the Eagles players, I'm not saying that they will resent Vic Fangio, but I think I think who they wanted to be the next defensive coordinator, he's with your team, Christian Parker. I think the defense they will regress. They regressed last season, despite what people wanted to tell you. They regressed. They're going to regress again this year. The only reason why I still think they could still finish second in that division is because Washington just can't get right and healthy. The left tackle injury tearing his triceps was terrible, and I also think we'll get to Washington in a second. Make sure you give credit to number 5, the great Jaden Daniels, who wears number 5. I think that BS situation will hang over him, and we'll mess with his psyche a little bit. So for
I gotta pay him now that you said that number on this podcast.
Yeah, you got that. I'm sorry. I'll take care of it. Talk about that when we get out of here. But my favorite bet in the NFC East, I like the Eagles under 1. I like the Eagles under 10.5 at -140. And if you pick the Eagles to miss the playoffs, there's some strong money on that. Let me go ahead, bro. You can say something. I'm trying to find the odds for the Eagles missing.
No, I was just going to say, you talked about the defense quitting. That was something you saw firsthand a couple of years ago when they played your team in the playoffs, the season that the defense just kind of quit. They couldn't tackle anybody, and the Bucs wiped the floor with them in the playoffs. So we've seen this defense do that exact thing before.
Absolutely. The Eagles to miss the playoffs is +154. I'm very tempted, and I will put some money on that. I just think let's do last year. Patrick Mahomes missed the playoffs. Lamar Jackson missed the playoffs. You know who hasn't made the playoffs in 4 years?
Joe Burrow.
Top 5 quarterback in the league, right? So I just think sometimes it's your time. Not saying that you're bad, but it's just your time to miss the playoffs. And we've seen great Hall of Fame players miss the playoffs once or twice. And Jalen Hurts has never missed the playoffs. He's always been in the playoffs every year of his career that he started. So for me, I think it's time. I think the Eagles will regress a little bit. Hopefully, that does not mean they try to get rid of Jalen Hurts. Let's develop them. Let's keep developing. Let's keep getting them better and better and better. I don't believe in giving up on quarterbacks too early. You see that with Baker Mayfield. So I believe Jalen Hurts is the guy. I'm not saying he's not. But this particular iteration of the Eagles, I don't think they make the playoffs. Last thing, who's going to be the number 1 receiver? because I'm not trying to be funny. I love this Devontae Smith. I call him Thin Man. Thin Man can win in the SEC. I don't know if Thin Man can win 18 games against the NFL competition. You seeing number one corners every week. And also, think about it. He had John Mechie on the other side in college. He had some guys on the other side in college. Outside of him, who we looking at? Malachi Lemon, Hollywood Brown. I ain't Devontae Wicks. I mean, they're in the NFL. They deserve respect. But that's not Julio Jones. That's not Antonio Brown. That's not what he played. You get what I'm saying? So that's not Jerry Jeudy in college. So for me, I think the Eagles will miss the playoffs.
I'm down on them as well. Wasn't willing to go that bold. At the end of this podcast, we are going to pick our playoff teams and all that. And I also do have the Eagles missing the playoffs. Moving on though to the Washington Commanders, plus 500 to win this division. As you said, the Laramie Tunsil injury is a huge blow. This is a team I was very high on before that injury, but they do add Stephon Diggs with Terry McLaurin. You have a healthy Jalen Daniels, improved defense. They add Javon Kinlaw, Dafe Owe. They draft Sonny Styles, the best linebacker in the draft. Still some holes in the secondary that you're worried about, but it still should be an improved defense. They had a guy that I really like in Rashad White, a guy that you watched closely the last few years. Rashad White, when he lost his job to Bucky Irving, I watched him dive on a loose ball at the end of a big game, and I said, you know what, man, that guy is still out there making winning football plays, even though he lost his job. He gained a ton of respect from me after that. I think he's a solid addition to this Commanders team. Like you said, likely still third place in this division, but my bet is going to be on them at least being competitive in this division. You can get them to win at least 3 division games, so over 2.5 division wins. So at least go 3-3 in the division. I think they could beat the Giants twice. I think they take the Eagles down at least once, and you know they're always competitive with the Cowboys. Throw out the records when those two teams meet. So I'm taking the Commanders over 2.5 division wins. That plays out at plus 100.
So the Commanders win total is 7.5. Begrudgingly, because I believed in this team before. I think they can be the second best team. I think by the season's end, I think they can be the second best team in this division. So for me, I'm gonna take the Commanders over 7.5. I like what they did during the draft. They did overpay Odafe away a little bit for my loving, but okay, fine. They drafted Sonny Styles. I see how he progresses as you know as we get closer to the regular season. I do have questions about their secondary. Now, I'm picking over 7.5, but I can see a path for them to be under 7.5. And if they're under 7.5, I think we'll see a regime change. Head coaching. I think Dan Quinn will be up out there, and I think they'll get someone else in there. But for me, I think the Commanders have made enough improvements that they won't be in the cellar. Well, third place in the NFC East. I think they made enough improvements to be at least second place in the NFC East. So begrudgingly, again, hopefully Tunsil. I think Tunsil's out majority of the season, if not the whole season.
Towards triceps, I can't see him coming back. It's a pretty big muscle for it's not like you're playing a position where you can't use your. I mean, you're the left tackle. You got to be pushing people back. You can't do that with torn tricep.
So they signed Humphreys, DJ Humphreys, a left tackle from Arizona. He was a free agent. They signed him. I'm gonna take the Commanders over 7.5. I think Jaden Daniels has a bounce back season. I think Dan Quinn has his defense playing fast and exciting, and the front seven are somewhat covered for the lack of names in the secondary, but they'll get good productions. Watch out for Mikey Sanders still. I like him as well.
Okay. Secondary. Yeah, so we're both a little higher on the Commanders, but like you said, still have them finishing second or third in the division. So I guess that means we're both pretty low on this last team, the Giants, at plus 600. A lot of people's sleeper team. I posted a question on Twitter like a month back, like what last place team has the best chance to win the division. A lot of people said the Giants. I just don't see it. I do like the addition of DJ Reader. I think he is the perfect interior defensive tackle in a 3-4 defense. You add him to Burns, Carter, Arvell Reese. Paulson Adebo in the secondary, I thought was a sneaky good add from the Saints, the cornerback from the Saints. But I'm just not sold on Jackson Dart coming off of an injury. You got Cam Scatabo coming off an injury. You got Malik Neighbors, guess what? Also coming off an injury. You're counting on 3 guys to lead your offense, all returning from injuries. A couple of them are unproven. Just not sold on this team, and not sold on Cam Scatabo either. I talked about Bucky Irving, his rushing total sitting at 799.5. Cam Scatabo's rushing total is sitting the same as Bucky Irving's. You look at those two players side by side. Bucky Irving, wildly more talented. He's going to be running behind about the same offensive line, both teams, like middle of the road offensive line. I think Bucky Irving's total should be much higher. I think Cam Scatabo should be much lower. So my bet for the Giants, it's it's not going to be some lottery ticket, some big plus 1,500 like I gave out with the Panthers. Just the minus 110 under 799.5 yards for Cam Scatterbill.
We disagree. I think the Giants. I think, man, I wish it was 6.5. Because 6.5, I could get in with them being 7-10. The Giants won 4 games last year.
4 or 5, yeah.
4 and 5. Oh, let's say. Let me find out how many games they won. If I say, yeah, I'll do this. I think the Giants are one of the teams, in my opinion, that you can look at and say, okay, Giants were 4-13. I think the Giants win 8 games. So I'm gonna take over 7.5. I think the Giants double their win total. They have a real head coach. Now I don't believe in Matt Nagy, so I mean I'm not the biggest fan of him with the offensive coordinator. I believe in Jackson Dart. I like Tyrone Tracy, especially if he learns how to block. That'd be great. But they picked up Najee Harris for that. So I like the running back room, Tyrone Tracy, Najee Harris, Cam Scatterbull. What you said about Cam Scatterbull, he just acts like a young meathead to me. So I mean, he doing backflips and he got a broken, come on, bro. Like, what are you doing? So I get it, that's your style, but man, I'd rather you get hurt on the field than get hurt at Fanatics. So it's just me, silly me. But I like, so I'm not really their offense, especially the skill, especially the wide receivers. Who's the wide receiver too? I mean, it's so bad they had to go sign Odell. But I like they drafted the offensive lineman from Miami, Francis Mulawa, if I'm pronouncing his name right. Offensive tackle. So we understand they want to build the offensive line up, get that right for Jackson Duck. But for me, I'm sorry. This defense too good, especially with that front seven. Know all them names they got on defense. I know they traded Dexter Lawrence, but I'm sure like they can find a defensive tackle to. They can't replace Dexter Lawrence, his production. They can find a defensive tackle that can be productive in their defense with them edge rushers and that defense that they got. I think the Giants win 8 games. I think they'll be 8-9.
I'm sold on the defense. Like I said, DJ Reader, he's not going to be the player Dexter Lawrence was. He's a great run defender. He is good at that. He's not going to sack the quarterback, but he is good at plugging the middle, and he is a solid fit in the 3-4 defense. So I'm sold on the defense. It's not the defense I'm not sold on. It's the offense, and mainly Cam Scatterbo. Like you said, he's a meathead. He's running his head into the wall. You're counting on that guy staying healthy. That's why I took his under. That's why the main bet was just to play his under, because I don't see that guy staying healthy for a 17-game schedule. And like you said, they have other guys in the backfield that are going to be taking the ball as well.
Absolutely, I agree with you on that. I like the under Cam Scatterbo bet, but I think both New York teams will be much improved this season.
So do you think all the teams in the NFC East are going to win 8 games then? Or do you have the Eagles finishing last?
I think the Eagles can finish last in this division.
Wow.
I think the Eagles can be third.
That might be the play. I'm sure you can get a good number on that.
I think the Commanders could be second, and I picked the Cowboys to win the division. So for me, I think the Eagles could be last, just simply because if the Giants do what I think they'll do, which they have a head coach, they'll get better as the season progresses. And to me, all this, obviously, everything comes down to injury. If the Giants' best players, mainly Jackson Dart, can stay healthy, and I don't have to see, I don't have to see James, because I love James. James is going to throw you the ball just like he's going to throw us the ball too. So if I don't have to see that, and Jackson Dart can somewhat stay healthy, man, this Giants team, they were in games last year. They lost a lot of one-score games. So this. The pendulum usually swings the opposite way.
Yeah.
I definitely think I heard someone on TV say, I don't know about the Eagles. They can make the playoffs or miss the playoffs. That's how I feel. I'm just bold enough to say I don't think they're going to make the playoffs. I think they'll miss the playoffs. I think they'll be last in the NFC East.
Wow. When we get off here, I might have to run over and place that bet just to have it in my portfolio. Eagles finish. You got to be at least plus 700 on that. Because I could see it happening. As we talk it out, I could see it happening. And I respect your opinion. I was low on him. Hearing that you're low on him as well definitely makes me feel better about my Cowboys outlook for this NFC East. But that is going to move us on to what a lot of people call the best division in football, the NFC North. We have the Lions at plus 170, the Packers at plus 225, the Bears at plus 305, and the Minnesota Vikings at plus 510. And we are going to start with the Vikings because I am very high on this team. I don't like Kyler Murray as a $30 million quarterback. I absolutely love him as a $2 million quarterback. If you're getting above average quarterback for $2 million, the Seattle Seahawks showed you what you can get when you underpay your quarterback. You can build a great roster around him, and you can go very very far as they did last year. You get a healthy Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, T.J. Hawkinson, a good offensive line. You add Caleb Banks, Jake Goldie in the draft. I'm expecting a second year leap from Dallas Turner. They add Pierre at cornerback in free agency. So this is a defense that was already really good last year, third in EPA per play on defense. This is a defense that should be improved on a season that they already had a really good season. So I'm expecting them to be one of the best defenses in football this year. They kind of they're not flashy. They're not the takeaway machine like another team in this division we're going to talk about that I think has a fool's gold defense. This is a legitimately good defense. They stuffed teams. They held teams to low totals last year without turning the ball over. I think they were 16th in takeaways. As we know, takeaways fluctuate in the NFL more so than anything else. So if this team gets more turnovers this year, they could be the very best defense in the NFL. They're at the very least going to be one of the top five. Love this team this year. I'm not going to get ahead of myself and give away my pick to win the division again. My bet for them is going to be Justin Jefferson over 1,149 and a half receiving yards. We saw Kyler Murray do this in his first year with DeAndre Hopkins. DeAndre Hopkins came to Arizona at 28 years old, put up 115 catches, 1,407 yards. Justin Jefferson, 27 years old, his first year with Kyler Murray. I could see him having a very similar season. I think he's going to fly over this total. So my bet for the Vikings, Justin Jefferson over 1,149 and a half yards.
I love that bet. I have a question for you. Do you think
Yeah.
this is a 1-year rental, or do you think this is the place that Kyler Murray will be for a little while?
I mean, I think it's a wait and see. I mean, I think that's going to have everything to do with how he plays this year.
Absolutely. I agree with you on that 1,000%. When you mentioned the defense, you didn't mention one of the best defensive coordinators, if not the best defensive coordinator out. My guy Brian Flores, he's the defensive
Yes.
coordinator in Minnesota. So he's the one orchestrating the defense. As you mentioned, Calvin Banks, Andrew Van Enkel, Eric Wilson, Blake Cashman at linebacker. They do need Dallas Turner to step up because they got rid of Jonathan Grenard. They traded him to the Philadelphia Eagles. So they have a solid to good secondary. Byron Murphy Jr. By the way, he was in Arizona with Kyler Murray. And they got my man Josh Metellus in that as a safety as well. So I like Joshua Metellus, excuse me. I like the Vikings. The issue that I have with the Vikings is that I've been drinking the Kyler Murray juice for years. So I actually went to go see. I actually got a therapist because I was drinking the Kyler Murray juice so much that I needed to go to a therapist. And my therapist said, "Man, listen, you got to stay away from that forbidden fruit, that forbidden juice." So I'm not saying the Vikings won't be good. I definitely think they have everything in their right mind to be good. And let me mention this on offense. They have four very good weapons. You obviously have Justin Jefferson, you have Jordan Addison, you have T.J. Hawkinson, and when I added this offseason, my guy from San Francisco, they always make a big play, big catch when you need them, Jawan Jennings. So the Vikings definitely have the roster and fortitude to contend in this division and win this division. So I love your bet about Justin Jefferson over 1,100 yards, basically 1,100, basically 1,200 yards. He's going to get 1,200 yards. Kyler Murray is going to force feed him the ball because Kyler Murray understands that's the best way to have success on this team. Force feed is not the right word, but Justin Jefferson is going to get his touches, and the ball won't be thrown 10 yards over his head like I was last.
He's not going to be doing the throwing his arms up, looking at his quarterback.
So I love the fit for Kyler Murray in Minnesota with these weapons. And the last thing, Kyler Murray only plays 2 games outside in this division. Chicago's outside, Green Bay's outside. I think they play Green Bay. Let me look at the Vikings schedule. They play, look at this. They play Chicago week 2. That's outside. It'll be warm. They play Green Bay November the 15th. The rest of his games, he plays in November. They play San Francisco home, Atlanta home, Carolina home. They go to New England on a Thursday night in December 10th. That might be a little tricky.
That's a schedule loss. You're never gonna road games on Thursday are just schedule losses.
You're not
you
gonna
can't get away from it.
Then they play Detroit at home. Okay. They play Washington at home. Okay. They play the Jets on the road, and then they play the Bears at home. So their last 8 games of the season, they play 6 games inside.
Yeah.
To me, that works for Kyler Murray in this offense. So I'm very intrigued by the Minnesota Vikings this season.
especially when you consider that Kyler Murray generally starts out the season well. Like he's usually the first 8 weeks, he's one of the best, and he tails off at the end. So getting those indoor games, it was an angle that I hadn't even considered. I have their schedule written down here as well, but an angle I hadn't even considered, and is a fairly good point, and it's making me feel better about how high I am on this Vikings team. That's going to move us on to a team that I'm not very high on, and that is the Chicago Bears. They won this division last year. They're sitting at plus 305. Like I said, they won the division last year, but they really got, lucky in a number of ways. This defense forced turnovers at a ridiculous rate, but they gave up explosive plays at the highest rate in the NFL. EPA per play, they had one of the worst defenses in the league. They just forced a ton of turnovers. Reminded me a lot of a Dallas Cowboys team that we saw 3 years ago. Forced a ton of turnovers. DeRon Bland was Mr. Pick Six. Everybody was talking about the Cowboys defense. Oh, they turned it around. They're great. They forced turnovers. Then they got into the playoffs and got a mud hole stomped in their ass by the Green Bay Packers. We watched it happen to the Chicago Bears. They were getting stomped by the Green Bay Packers, and they just happened to have a miraculous second half comeback, and everybody forgot about it.
Yep.
So this Bears defense, I don't think is very good. I think they're due for some regression. I like Caleb Williams. I like the offense. I like Luther Burden. I like Roma Dunze. I think this offense is going to be able to do big things. Colston Loveland. I have some questions about the run game, and I have huge questions about this defense, particularly when going up against high-powered offenses with the Lions, with the Packers, a Vikings team that I think is going to be much improved this year. You're playing a first place schedule. You're always going to be going up against good offenses with a defense I don't think is very good. I'm low on the Chicago Bears. I have them finishing last place in this division, and you could bet that at plus 250 on DraftKings.
So for me, I like their offense, as you said. I like the weapons. Roma Dunze, they got rid of DJ Moore, so they set way for Roma Dunze, Luther Burden, Colston Loveland to be the main weaponry for Caleb Williams. I love the running back room. You have DeAndre Swift, Kyle Monangai, Rasheed Johnson, but I love Kyle Monangai. I love what I saw last year. He'll only get better and better. I think the offense, especially the offensive line, Ben Johnson trait that no one gives him credit for. They gave it to Dan Campbell, but I saw it last year in Chicago. He likes physicality. He wants to run the ball. He wants to be physical in the line of scrimmages. He wants to dominate the line of scrimmages, especially on the offensive end. Because when you can run the ball, it opens up everything for your play action game. That opens up your whole playbook as well. So for me, I love that. I think the Chicago Bears offense will be good. Will I agree with you 1,000%? I don't know why these teams, man, think, we suck on defense, so let's just get more offense. I don't understand. Their defense, they remind me of Buffalo. Their offense is not the problem. Their defense is the problem. They do everything but address the defense. The Bears feast last season on turnovers. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you how the NFL works. What you did last year, that shit ain't gonna work this year. You gotta bring something different to the table. My friend used to have an expression. Say, JD, we have, metaphorically speaking, we having a cookout. You gotta bring something to the cookout. You don't bring plates, I'm bringing that. Don't bring hamburgers, I'm bringing that. Don't bring hot dogs, she bringing that. You gotta bring something to the table. This Bears defense, they were driven up and down the field in the playoffs, up and down the field by the Green Bay Packers, who blew a lead, like you mentioned, and then the LA Rams, who eventually took them out in the divisional round at home, by the way, in the best conditions that Chicago fans and players could hope for. If they played that game in LA, the Rams would have beat them by 20. But the game was outside, so cool. The game was what it was. You said it best. This is why I love doing the show with you, brother. I feel like me and you have worked together once or twice in our life. We somewhat think the same. This has regression written all over it. The Bears not gonna win the NFC North. Now I can see why you think they'll be last. I definitely understand that and can see that. I'm not ready to go that far just yet, but I think out of all the teams in the NFC, I think the Bears will regress the most. I get your point about Carolina, but Carolina won the division at 8-9. The Bears won 12 games. I don't think the Bears win 12 games this season.
Yeah, so we're in agreement on the Bears. That's going to move us on to the Lions at plus 170. A team that has a staple. The staple has been their offensive line. The offensive line is still good. It's nowhere near as good as it was when they were in their heyday. I kind of think they missed their window with that great offensive line. I keep comparing teams to my Cowboys because I watch them so closely. Kind of reminds me of the Zach Martin, Tyron Smith Cowboys, Travis Frederick, when they had that incredible offensive line. And, the Des Carter game, they just missed their window because of that game. I think that the Lions are going to look back at that NFC divisional round loss to the Commanders as the time that they missed their window. That they just missed their window. Go ahead.
I would take it a step further because that game, and again, Commanders fans get mad at me. The Lions had to pick people up off the street. So I understand why they lost that game. The game that they will never get over is that NFC Championship game in San Francisco,
Oh, that was bad
where
too.
the
That
ball
was
tipped up
bad
in the air,
too.
and that's probably one of the last times we can say Brandon Ayuk's name without people making fun of it. But Brandon Ayuk came through and caught the pass and got in the end zone. So for me, I think that'll be more. I think that'll sting them more. The one against the Commanders, man. Listen, we ain't have nobody. Everybody was hurt. We can understand why you lost that. But that one against in San Francisco, the Lions should have won that game.
But that game again, they were Jameer Gibbs was ripping off 10 yards of carry every time. If they had just handed the ball off to Jameer Gibbs 40 times, they would have won that game. I don't
They
know
would have
what
won.
they were doing. They ran a trick play where some like a wide receiver or a tight end somebody ran him through a pass and it got picked. They were just all over the place. Dan Campbell kind of pissed down his leg in that game, but that's beside the point. This is a team that I think missed their window, but they are still an incredibly talented team. And I really wanted to come in here and say I don't think that they're going to be a playoff team. Then I looked at their schedule.
Hmm.
They they play the Saints at home at Buffalo on a Thursday. Then they have the Jets, Carolina, Arizona, a bye week, home for Green Bay and Minnesota, at Miami, home for New England and Tampa Bay, Chicago, at Atlanta, home for Tennessee, at Minnesota. They catch the Giants. They catch at Chicago, who like we said we're down on, and at Green Bay. Looking at this schedule, I'm like, they have 10 wins just in pencil right there. They play Carolina, they play Arizona, they catch New Orleans at home. A lot of their hard games they catch at home. They catch New England at home. Their road game you have to go to Miami, but Miami's going to be down this year. So they catch a lot of their tough teams have to travel to them. So I think this team's still going to win 10 games. I wanted to be down on them, but the schedule just won't let me do it. So the way I'm going to go with this one, I'm going to take Jameer Gibbs to have the most rushing yards in the division. I think that's a lock. You look up and down this division. Nobody else really has a workhorse running back. You might be worried about Josh Jacobs down there in Green Bay, but I actually think they're going to be throwing the ball a little more this year. We'll talk about them in a little bit. But I'm going to take Jameer Gibbs to have the most rushing yards in the division at minus 160.
Detroit's win total was at 10.5. I already placed the bet. They're going over that. I like Detroit to win over 10 games. And very simply, what you said, it's because of the schedule. So
Yeah.
I'm not going to regurgitate the schedule. I just want to do their hard games. Week 2 at Buffalo, okay. Every game in the NFL is hard, but I'm just the reason why I'm doing this like this. Week 2 at Buffalo, hard. Division game, week 7, week 8, Green Bay, Minnesota, okay. They play the Patriots, neutral site. That game is in London. So, okay, that's
Oh, I didn't
hard.
know that. I didn't have that written down. Okay.
Patriots, they play that. Tampa Bay plays them well in Detroit. Tampa Bay actually went to Detroit a couple years ago and beat them, but I think Detroit will win that game. After week 10, I mean, Minnesota at home, okay, and the Packers week 18. So no disrespect to none of these other teams, but I think they can beat Tampa. I think they'll beat Chicago. I think they'll beat Atlanta. Tennessee is struggling. So then they play the Giants. That'll be a game. So I put the Giants in there. That'll be a game, especially if the Giants are healthy. So for me, I think this Detroit Lions team, new offensive coordinator, they had to get through the struggles last year of learning the new. I shouldn't say new offensive coordinator. They had the same offensive coordinator they had last year towards the end of the season. So they're learning. They're learning. They had to learn that. I think they'll get over that. I think Dan Campbell has to get back to dominating in the line of scrimmages because you could see there was slippage in the line of scrimmage offensively and defensively last year with Detroit. I think he'll get back to that. Jameer Gibbs got his money, so he'll be happy to play. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Sam Laporta, Jameson Williams, J-Mo. I like this Detroit team. I like them a lot. I like them over 10.5 wins.
Yeah. Uh, you know, we're on the same wavelength here. The schedule was mainly the thing, even though I think that like their calling card is gone with the offensive line. But like you said, too much talent on this team. They're going to go over 10 wins. I like that play. That is going to move us on to the final team in this division, and then we'll give out our winner. It is the Packers. They are plus 225. I kind of think Jordan Love has become underrated at this point. I think he is a very good quarterback. You said you're doing a top 10 list. I think he is a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. He doesn't have that number one receiver. He's got a bunch of number twos with Christian Watson, with Reed, with Matthew Golden, who I thought was going to be really good last year. I think you could see him take a leap this year. You get Tucker Kraft back. You have Josh Jacobs. No, Micah Parsons is really going to hurt this team, particularly early on, but they do, and they didn't have a first round pick because they traded it to my Cowboys, but they added Brandon Cease in the second round, who I think was a first round talent at cornerback. So I think he's going to give an influx of talent to this defense. I think this is going to be a solid team. I think they're going to win, 9, maybe 10 games. Like I said, this is the best division in football. All these teams are going to win, upwards of 9 games, except for the Bears, who I am down on. My bet, and I'm going to give out another bet with it. I'm going to take Jordan Love over 3,549 and a half passing yards. I think he takes a big leap this year. He has a bunch of good, not great receivers. He's going to spread the ball around. And because he's going to spread the ball around and because the best player on this team is out, I'm not picking the Packers to win this division. But if I was going to bet the Packers at plus 225, I think I would just throw it all out there and take Jordan Love to win MVP at plus
Mm.
2,000. My pick to win MVP is Justin Herbert. I gave that on the last podcast. But I would not mind a flyer on Jordan Love because the way he's going to spread the ball around, he could put up 4,000 yards and not have a single 1,000-yard receiver. You could see him carry this offense without Micah Parsons on the other side, making the defense look good. The narrative could be, oh, the Packers are really good. It's all because of Jordan Love, and he's going to be the MVP. I could totally see that happening. Not my pick, but I think it's a good value bet at plus 2,000.
I love that pick. I think Jordan Love. I think Jordan Love is a top 10 quarterback, like you said. I don't want to say he's over. I don't want to say he's underrated. I'm gonna put it to you like this: you have Jordan Love, and then you have J Lo. I want J Lo. I don't want Jordan Love. I want J Lo, and I want J Lo just
You
go
want the
out there.
swag. You want the swag.
Let's play the game. I mean, if Jennifer Lopez is gonna come too, I'll take her too. But I want him to play the way he's supposed to play. Confident. Be him. Don't do stupid stuff. A lot of times when the Packers lose, it's because he's trying to do something stupid. Just play your game. Play smart. Take what's there. You take what's there. Sometimes you know this as a parent. It's okay to take a profit. You don't have to take everything at one time. Take a profit. Take your small wins until you get the biggest win. For them, the biggest win is obviously the Super Bowl. They're trying to get to the Super Bowl. I like the Packers. The Packers, to me, they're like the Steelers of the NFC. They're just always consistent. They're going to win 10 games, 9 games. They're going to be 9-8, 10-7, 11-6, and they're going to make the playoffs. So I do not think the Packers are going to win this division, but along with you, but I think the Packers will be a very good team. I think Jordan Love will keep moving up in the quarterback ranks. I think he'll play good enough and I think the Packers will try to hold the fort down until they get Micah Parsons back.
So seems like we're on the same wavelength on every team in this division. So moment of truth here, going to pick a winner. I was torn between the Lions at plus 170 and the Vikings at plus 510, and the gambler and the contrarian in me. I always like to think I'm the smartest person in the room. I always like to have the I told you so moment. You can't do that if you pick the favorite. So I'm torn between the Lions and the Vikings. I'm going to grab the Vikings at plus 510. I already broke it down. I think they have the best defense in this division. If they get average quarterback play, this is going to be a playoff team.
I am taking the Detroit Lions to win the NFC North. That schedule, I mean, Lord. I mean, jeez. Like you said, they're 10-7 right now. They haven't played a game yet. So they're 10-7. Okay. I think, can they steal a win or two? They have enough talent. Detroit, people forget. I get your point about they might have missed their window. They still got something. They still have majority of those players that they missed their window with. You have Jared Goff. You have Jahmyr Gibbs. I get you have no David Montgomery. I think you can find a running back in the league. Somebody can fill that role. You have the two receivers. J-Mo is still electric, speedy, fast, quick. You have Amon-Ra St. Brown, a top 5 receiver in the league, in my opinion. Sam Laporta, top 5 tight end in the league. Tyler say top 7, top 8 tight end in the league. Top 10, let's just do that just to be fair. Top 10 tight end in the league. You have the offensive weaponry. It's that offensive line. That offensive line can get back to what they were a couple years ago. I like the Lions, man. I think Detroit wins the NFC North. But I'll give it away. I do have 3 teams from this division making the playoffs.
So the problem I have with Detroit, and it is the offensive line is still good. It's no longer elite. The problem is that Jared Goff is their quarterback, and we've seen it. You saw it in the Super Bowl. If you could put pressure on Jared Goff, he turns into a pumpkin.
Yes, he does.
And when they play teams with a pass rush, they're going to melt. Now, we broke down their schedule. They play a lot of easy teams, so they're not going to face that pass rush very often. But once they make the playoffs, once it gets late in the season and they're playing good teams, I think they're going to struggle.
So I'm looking at, and I'm not going to go through that schedule. I'm just going to go through key games, teams that got pass rush. Week 7, play Micah Parsons. Micah Parsons won't be Micah Parsons back, right? Okay.
Is he going to be back by then?
Is he going to be back? Is he going to be back by
Yeah.
then? Okay, let's say he's back by week 18. Detroit might not need to play for that game. Their position might be locked up already. So you miss Micah Parsons. The Bears don't have a. I mean, Montez Sweat is a good pass rusher, good to very good pass rusher. But I'm sure your left tackle, Penei Sewell, or right tackle, you feel me? I forgot what the right tackle is. Whoever your right tackle, they should be able to handle that. So New England doesn't have a star pass rush. They have a collection of guys. Tampa Bay, it's a rookie in Reuben Bain. You get what I'm saying? Atlanta, their two best pass rushers. Okay, Jalen Walker's out for the season. And then listen, my man with the he was dating Rakia Jackson. I can't think of his name right now.
No, you're speaking out about MIL.
James Pierce Jr. He got suspended for 8 games with the Rakia Jackson situation.
Yeah.
So you're only gonna have to see one of them. And think about it. They play the Falcons week 13. James Pierce would be not just getting back into football shape, but somewhat just getting back into football shape. And that's one guy. I just think during the regular season with Detroit, they have enough firepower to win this division. Now in the playoffs, I got you. We will see who they play. We can talk about that at that point in time. But to win the division, they have 10 wins right now. I would be a fool not to say they're going to win this division. I get your point about Minnesota. They're a very good team. We'll see where I have them when it's time to unveil our playoff teams. But I think this division goes to Detroit.
Last thing I'll say on the NFC North, you and I talked about a little collaboration we're going to do throughout the season. When I send you my Week 16 picks, the Detroit Lions play the New York Giants, a team with a pretty good pass rush, and Lions probably going to be like a touchdown favorite in that game, and we're going to be taking the under.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I'm tripping. I forgot about the Giants because I think the Giants are double their win total. So yes, they play the Giants. Okay, so the second half of the season, that's the best pass rush team they play, right?
Yeah.
That's week 16, and they guess where they have them at home. Now, if it was in New York and it's cold outside, you got me. But I think the Lions can find a way to win that game. I'm with you on the Giants. I just think they'll double their win total just because they have a real guy in the head coaching position. But I don't think they're there yet to be like we're gonna make the playoffs.
Yeah, no, it's just a matchups make fights, and that's that's a strength on weakness.
It's not a good matchup for the Lions. I'll give you that. It's not a good matchup for them at all. Not at all.
So we're going to wrap things up now with the NFC West. The Rams, the darlings of the offseason, are minus 105. The only team in the league that is minus money to win their division. They're minus 105. The Seahawks plus 215, the defending Super Bowl champions. San Francisco 49ers and their bevy of off-season issues plus 305. Have not checked to see if the Jed York situation changed that number. Haven't looked at that. Then you have the Arizona Cardinals at plus 10,000. Look, full disclosure, I put a $2 bet on it just because you're never going to see a plus 10,000 division winner. I was like, I got to put $2. I have to. 100 to 1, I got to put $2 on it. But I do not think the Arizona Cardinals are going to win the division.
I don't think the Cardinals are going to win the division either. Let's get our Cardinals talking now because we obviously have bigger teams and bigger fish to fry.
Plus 10,000 though? Why not?
Yeah, why not? And let me say this. They do have some weapons.
Oh, I'm high on this team, dude. Oh, I'm high on this team.
Michael Wilson. I watched him last year. Oh my God, he can play. They have the best tight end in the league that no one knows about in Trey McBride, in my opinion. Marvin Harrison Jr. I saw him now. I had some drops early in the preseason, but he's been getting better. And they laugh all they want about Jacoby Brissett. Jacoby Brissett is an adequate quarterback in the NFL. Is he gonna make mistakes? Yes, but he's a serviceable quarterback in the league. And then listen, they might have the best running back room in the league, and I ain't even seen their cuts yet. Because they got Jeremiah Love, they're gonna have James Cook. They cut Trey Benson. They got somebody.
Tyler Algier. They got Tyler Algier.
They signed. Man, listen, the Cardinals are not going to win the NFC West. They in the NBA. I call it sneaky lead, like a sneaky lead pass team. I want to watch. The Cardinals are going to be a sneaky NFL Sunday ticket team. I want to watch just because they have the weaponry, and if they got the right play. By the way, let me say this: keep your eye out. I know I mentioned Jacoby Brissett. I think the Cardinals have their quarterback of the future. His name is Carson Beck. You heard it here first.
I watched Carson Beck play in the preseason, tweeted about it. He definitely looks solid. I wasn't going to start with the Cardinals, but now we have to start with the Cardinals. Cardinals plus 10,000 to win this division. You touched on it. They're projected to be the worst team in the league, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, why? Why is this projected to be the worst team in the league? Like you said, Marvin Harrison Jr., Michael Wilson, Trey McBride, Will Johnson on the defensive end, first round pick cornerback. You have Buda Baker, you have Walter Nolan, first round pick. Josh Sweat coming back from it. Josh Sweat, who has more quarterback pressures in the last 3 seasons than everybody except for like Micah Parsons and Myles Garrett. Josh Sweat is a legitimate pass rusher. By the way, playing the Chargers in Week 1 with an injured tackle. So let's excuse me, an injured offensive line wasn't a tackle, but still,
Yeah,
see how
center.
that goes. This team has an identity, like you said. They have an identity. They have the best running back room in the league. They're going to run the ball. They have ways to beat you. They have a veteran quarterback. I have no idea why this team is projected to be the worst in football. Their win total sitting at 3.5. I jumped all over that. Actually, my bet for them is for them to win 6.5 games. That's plus 500. Plus 500 to go 7-10. This team is very capable of going 7-10. They play home against Detroit. We talked about Detroit's struggles against pass rushes. They play the Jets. They play the Saints. They play the Raiders. They play the Commanders. They play the Giants. They play my Cowboys. The Cowboys have only beaten that team one time out of the last 12 matchups. The Arizona Cardinals sneakily own the Dallas Cowboys. Nobody
They
talks
do.
about it. The Cardinals just own the Dallas Cowboys. I don't know what it is. It was one of the only games they won last year. This is not the worst team in the league. I think they could very easily be an average team. Like I said, my bet for them over 6.5 wins plus 500.
Yeah, I love that over 6.5 wins. I'm not as bold as you, but I mean 3.5. Like yeah,
That's insane. You're basically saying they're going to be the worst team in the league.
I'm going to go out on a limb. I don't have their schedule. Okay, I'll do this. I'll pull their schedule up just so I can say that I'm saying it. I think the Cardinals are going to beat San Francisco one time this year.
Okay.
I think they're going to beat San
I
Francisco
can see
one
it.
time this year. So for me, I just that's one win right there. And I haven't even looked at everything else that I think that could be winnable games. Maybe they play Miami. Maybe they play the Jets. You get what I'm saying?
They play the Jets. They play the Saints. They play the Raiders. They play the Commanders. They play the Giants.
Yeah, winnable games. So yeah, they're gonna win. They're gonna win more than 3.5 games. I think your best play ever in life might be them winning 7 games. They could win 7 games.
Plus 500. 5-1 on your money.
Let me ask you this. I know you can say it's depend on how Jacoby Brissett plays. I get that, but I'm kind of putting you on the spot with this. So if you don't want to ask, I got you. How long is it before we see Carson back? Because to me, that's the wild card. If Carson back, let's say Carson back gets in week 8, week 9, they can win 7. Yeah, they're gonna win 7 games.
So all those late. So the Jets, Saints, Raider, all those winnable games. Second half of the schedule. I think it's setting up for that for a week 9, week 10 change from Jacoby Brissett. And look, all Jacoby Brissett has to do is just stack a couple of wins up, stack 2 to 3 wins up before that. Come in 2-6. Carson Beck comes in, mops up with the easy schedule. The Cardinals can beat their chest and say, "Oh, we got our guy of the future because he looked great against the Jets, against the Raiders, against I say the Saints like it's an easy game. It's a team I'm high on, but this is it's going to be a home game for Arizona. You got an East Coast team traveling west. That's always a tough spot to play. Even though I'm high on the Saints, I think the Cardinals could easily win this game. I'm scratching my head to why people think this is going to be the worst team in the league.
Yeah, I wasn't here with you in the AFC. The worst team in the league is Miami. They're the worst team in the league. They're showing you they want to be the worst team in the league. So yeah, we agree. I don't think Arizona is the worst team in the league by far. Too much talent, offensively and defensively. And we know with LaFleur, he's going to run the ball.
Yep. And he's got one guy gets tired. Hey, Tyler Algier. If Love gets tired, Tyler Algier, come on in. They both get tired. James Conner, come on in. You could afford an injury. You have a decent offensive line. The team is going to have an identity. That's the main thing. They're going to have an identity. You look across the league. What's the Dolphins' identity? It's Devon Chain, and just give him the ball and watch him run around like Barry Sanders in the '90s with the terrible Lions offensive line. What is the Browns' identity? They lost their identity in Myles Garrett. At least it's of all the bad teams. At least like they have that identity, and I think that's going to go a long way for them. I think we spent way too much time with the Cardinals, though. So let's move on to a team. We're high on the Cardinals. They're not winning the Super Bowl. Let's go on to a team that everybody thinks is going to win, or at least going to be a Super Bowl contender in the Rams. Like I said, they're minus 105 to win this division. The offseason darlings, they trade for 2 All-Pros on defense. They get Myles Garrett from the Browns. They get Trent McDuffie from the Chiefs. F them picks. They just keep trading their first-round picks, except they have one this year, and they draft the heir apparent to Stafford and Ty Simpson in the first round. And a lot of people are kind of scratching their head at that pick because this is an immediately contending team. And it's like, well, why would you take your quarterback of the future? Well, number one, I think it was a great pick because number one, When are you ever going to be picking this high again? And number two, the biggest question you have about this team is the health of Matthew Stafford. And what better way to protect him than to have a guy that can fill his shoes right away? So I actually like the pick. You have Kyron and Blake Corum in the backfield. I think Blake Corum, by the way, is going to be the number one running back by the end of this season. They add the top tier pass rusher. They add the top tier shutdown corner. They have a top five offensive line. They were number two in DVOA last year. Healthy Matthew Stafford equals 12 wins. And like I said, even if Matthew Stafford gets hurt, I think Ty Simpson can come in. I'm going to take my bet for this one, though. I'm going to take Blake Corum over 674.5 rushing yards. Like I said, I think he, not Kyron Williams, will be the number one running back in this offense by the end of the season.
Like that. Like that a lot. So the Rams were the offseason darling. They became the offseason darling. When you mention the Rams, I get a twinkle in my eye. You feel me? Just because that's how much they've won the offseason. And you didn't even mention the most important thing. And Myles Garrett is a hell of a thing to mention. You like Cash Money Records?
Sure.
Yeah, okay.
What am I missing here?
I'm about to tell you. You know, they used to have they had this phrase. You feel me? 9-9. You feel me? For 1999, 9-9 cash money. You feel me? Well, you know what? The only 9-9 cash money I know, he out there putting the shoulder pad and helmets on, ladies and gentlemen, the great Aaron Donald. And Jeff, I'm gonna ask you a question. Have you ever seen people try on the shoulder pad and the helmet and not actually use it? No, you haven't. Because most people that try it out, they use it. I might not be the best example. I relate that to sex. Most men don't try a condom on unless they're using it. Listen, my man putting on shoulder pads and the helmet. He's ready to go. Aaron Donald's coming back. You put him right next to Von Miller. You put him next to Turner, Kobe Turner. That defensive line. They signed Lamb in last year. He was a revelation for him. And now the worst part of their team has improved with the secondary. Listen, there's only one bet to make. The Rams going to be playing in L.A. The first game of the season. Well, they're not the first game of the season. They're going to be playing in L.A. in the last game of the season. Listen, the Rams going to win the NFC. Might as well just go and put your money on it. Take the Rams to win the NFC plus 295. I like the Rams. They're going to win. They're going to win the NFC. It's just like in third down, what exactly are you going to do? If it's 3rd and 11 and you have Aaron Donald and Myles Garrett, I remember I saw this when they had Aaron Donald, Von Miller, and Leonard Floyd because they beat Brady in the second round. So I'm well aware of the Rams with elite pass rushing. On 3rd down, okay, cool. We're going to double Myles Garrett. Okay, what about Aaron Donald? What about Turner? Man, listen, the Rams going to win the NFC, man. They have everything they need. And drafting Ty Simpson, you know what they did? Put a little chip on Matthew Stafford's shoulder. Like, oh, okay, I got you. I get you. You want to make sure the team is solidified for the future. Well, I'm gonna show you I'm the present and somewhat the future. So they added the chip to him, and he just won the MVP. And this is my last thing. I'm gonna say this. This is no disrespect to Sam Darnold, but the Rams looked at last season like we could have lost to Lamar Jackson, we could have lost to Joe Burrow, we could have lost to Patrick Mahomes, we could have lost to Josh Allen. I'd be damned if we lose to Sam Darnold again. They made sure they ain't never gonna make that. They made sure that will never happen again. They got the rushers up front, and they got the cover people in the backfield to make sure if those rushers can't get there, they can cover. Rams gonna win the NFC plus 295. Go on, put your money down, folks.
And they really got unlucky to lose it last year because you talked about the NFC Championship game. They lost to Seattle. They lost that game because they were playing in Seattle.
Yeah,
they should have been playing that game in LA because that 2-point conversion on the Thursday night football game was the biggest horseshit call I've ever seen in my life.
Crazy. That one play changed the trajectory.
Yes, 100%.
100%.
That's the reason we're not talking about the Rams, the defending Super Bowl champion, right now.
Absolutely. And what talking about? Yes, that play mattered, but bro, that defense was ass. I was watching. I called it out last year several times on myself, and I said that defense, that secondary was going to cost them, and that secondary was fish fillet. That's why Bryce Young had a good game in the playoff game. Caleb Williams, he wasn't the greatest because he needs to learn how to make layups. We'll get to him throughout the season, trust me. But he couldn't make layups. That's why Chicago couldn't beat the Rams. Sam Darnold made layups. So when there was time to make easy throws, Sam Darnold made the easy throws. That's why they beat him. They improved the one area that they needed to improve the most, which was that defense. Man, listen, Come on, man. The Rams, they're going to win this. Well, I think they're going to win the NFC in general. I don't really give a damn if they win the division or not. We'll get to that in a second. They're going to win the NFC. It's a foregone conclusion to me. The last time a Super Bowl was in LA, the Rams played in it. They're playing this one.
Yeah, we're on the same boat. High on the Rams. How could you not be? But you talked about the Seahawks. It's a good segue to the defending champion Seattle Seahawks, plus 215 to win this division. Lose Reek Woolen, lose Kobe Bryant in the secondary, lose Kenneth Walker. You win the Super Bowl, guys want to get paid. It always happens. You win the Super Bowl, you're going to lose guys. You got to draft well. You got to replace them. They draft Jadarian Price to replace Kenneth Walker. They draft Bud Clark, the safety, to replace Kobe Bryant. So, as good teams are supposed to do, they drafted where they lost. So, we'll see if those additions are able to replace what they lost. Do we see a regression from Sam Darnold? I mean, it's hard to imagine this guy that we watched struggle for the majority of the early part of his career just have a second season in a row like that. Is this who Sam Darnold is, or was last year a flash in the pan? We shall see. They have a good offensive line. They have a good defense. Jackson Smith-Njigba. Zach Charbonnet is hurt, so they're going to be really leaning on Jadarian Price to start the season. They had Rashid Shaheed, the wide receiver, in a trade with the Saints last year. Cooper Kupp they still have. I just don't think Jadarian Price is going to be able to immediately come in and do all the work that Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet were doing, because you look at that was a running back by committee last year. So they had both of those guys to start the year. Now you're just going to have this rookie come in, and he's just going to fill in for both guys. They don't have any depth behind them. They have George Hawani, and I don't even know who else behind him. I just don't see him immediately coming in and being a workhorse back. That's going to put more pressure on Sam Darnold, more pressure on these receivers. You talked about the Eagles missing the playoffs. I have the Seahawks missing the playoffs here at plus 184. I think the loss of the run game is going to have a trickle-down effect with Sam Darnold, and I think this team's going to take a step back this year.
Woo, I can't be mad at you. They lost Bud Clark, the safety that they drafted from TCU. He's out. He tore his leg. He tore his arm.
He's hurt? I didn't even know he was hurt.
Bud Clark. They lost Jake Bobo. He tore his leg. He out for the season. I think Nick Imarumi. I can't pronounce it. Imanuri. I think he's the top 5 safety in the league right now.
Oh, he's great.
You put him. I mean, to me, Kyle Hamilton is the best safety. After that, you can make a case he's up there. I got my man Winfield Jr. up there. So you got some guys up there. Javon Holland, just to name a few. Jesse Bates. So it kind of shocked me with Seattle not making the playoffs, because I do think they have just enough talent to get back to the playoffs. They will take it. They're not going to win 14 games, 15 games. They're not doing that. And one of my favorite play with Seattle, I'm in love with Jadarian Price. And the reason why I'm in love with Jadarian Price is because he gets out of the shadow of Jeremiah Love. And he's going to be the solo back. Obviously, he'll split, he'll share carries with someone, but he'll be the main number one back. I like Jadarian Price for rushing yards that get over 750. That's plus 125 on DraftKings. I really think Seattle will still run the ball, use that play action game. Again, Clint Kubiak is the new head coach in Las Vegas, but I think the offense is still have some of the same principles that they use with Clint Kubiak. So for me, my favorite play is Jadarian Price over 750 rushing yards this season at plus 125. Now, your point about them not making the playoffs, and I almost we're here now because we haven't mentioned them. We have one more team to mention. What you think of Seattle? Actually, think of the 49ers, because of the injuries that they have. They have too many injuries, and they have too many injuries right now. And you know the old expression, you know it well. If you go into the season limping, you're gonna be limping throughout the season, and you're going to end your season limping out of the season. So, I just think with that alone, I think Seattle will be a playoff team.
So let's go through their schedule. I like the Jadarian Price play, by the way, because of the things I laid out. He's the only guy back there. He's going to be getting all of the carries. I think he's going to get enough carries to go well over that total. So I definitely like your bet there, even though I'm down on the team as a whole. Just looking at their schedule, you play the Rams twice. We're both crazy high on the Rams. You play the 49ers twice. Probably going to be a split. Even if you're down to the 49ers, the Seahawks and 49ers just always seem to split. They play the Chargers, they play the Cowboys, they play the Chiefs, they play the Broncos, they play the Eagles, they play at the Raiders, at the Commanders, they play the Patriots to open the season, and they play the Bears. A lot of tough games on their schedule, man. And the Cardinals, who we don't think are going to be as bad as everybody else. You still got to play them twice too. So this is just a really, really tough schedule with a target on your back.
They got
So
they got they got to play at Philly too in December. So no,
yeah.
I get you. I get you. It's not easy, but and I think that I think they'll get their Super Bowl wake up week one. I'll just say that without going too deep into the game. I think they'll get their Super Bowl wake up alarm or Super Bowl alert, as I say. Like this is not the Super Bowl anymore. This is a new season. I think they'll get that week one, which can propel them. I think, but before they go to LA, they should be 2-1. They at best they can be 3-0. But I'm saying what I'm looking at, they should be 2-1. They should beat Washington. They should beat Arizona. And okay, cool. They're going to LA at 2-1. Let's see how that game go. And then they play San Francisco. I think when I say LA Chargers. I think they'll split with San Francisco, and I think they'll split with the Rams. Because the Rams at the last game of the season, the Rams might not need that. And the NFL nasty with it. They put Seattle and the Rams week 16, week 18 to try to make the game important. That game might not be important. Might not be important for either team. Seattle might have already clinched their spot, or as the great host of the Let It Ride podcast just said, my guy Jeff, they might miss the playoffs. So if the spots are clinched or they're not in, that game doesn't matter. So for me, I get your point. I definitely get your point. They have a lot of things to fill in Seattle, from injuries, coaching staff, etc., players leaving. So I get why you don't think they can make the playoffs for sure.
So that's going to lend us to we've been talking around this team a lot. Going to close things up here with the San Francisco 49ers plus 305. The offseason from hell. You talked about the injuries. Their head coach is injured. Their head coach gets in a car crash. Their owner gets arrested for soliciting a $140 prostitute in a trailer park. I mean, just the fact that wasn't Jerry Jones is a win for me. I'm just going to say, like, we've had two coaches get arrested for soliciting prostitutes in the last 3 years, and neither one of them is Jerry Jones. I'm chalking that up as a win for Cowboys fans. Everyone wants to give Jerry Jones is a dirty old man. It's like, no. It's Jed York, and it's your boy Bobby Kraft over there in New England.
Robert Kraft. Yeah, Robert Kraft.
So add to that all the injuries that they had last year. There's a conspiracy theory that all the injuries they've had over the last 5 years is because of the power lines around the practice facility or something like that. This team just has so many bugaboos around them. It's really hard to be high on them. However, you are supposed to be getting Joey Bosa back. You're supposed to be getting Fred Warner back. You add Mike Evans. You bring back Debo. Mikael Williams, you get back from an injury. You add Stribling in the draft at wide receiver. They get Greenlaw back. So they get a couple of guys back that left in free agency coming back to their team in Greenlaw and in Debo. I don't want to be high on this 49ers team. I just think they have too much talent. I don't think they're gonna win the division. I do think they finish second. Like I said, I'm down on Seattle. I'm taking the Rams, 49ers to finish top 2 in this division at plus 170.
Again, you can't bet against Kyle Shanahan. I'm gonna sound like a complete dumbass for betting against him because we saw what he did last year. We saw that backup quarterback Mac Jones, backup offensive lineman, skill players not being there, defensive players being hurt. Nick Bosa was hurt. Not Greenlaw. Greenlaw wasn't there. Fred Warner got hurt. Secondary in and out. Mikael Williams, like you said, was hurt. They did get your guy. OC. What's his name? I can't. What's his name? The guy from
Digijua, or I can't even pronounce it.
OC. They got OC, the off defensive line from the Cowboys. So again, I respect Kyle Shanahan. I love Kyle Shanahan as the head coach. The problem with the 49ers, and I said this on Highly Opinionated, they don't draft well. The last great draft pick they had was in the 7th round. His name was Brock Purdy. That was like 3-4 years ago. If you don't hit on cheap labor in the NFL, it's like evolution. It passes you by. Time passes you by because you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing when you have the opportunity to do it. That's why you're high on your Cowboys, because you feel like they've hit in drafts. So now it's just about for the draft talent to actually, produce and get it out on the field. The 49ers haven't produced on the field. That's why they had to go sign Debo, because they haven't drafted well on receivers. The receiver that they needed to replace Debo, he's hurt again. He's out for the season, and Ricky Pearsall. So for me, I respect this team. They went out and got Raheem Morris as a defensive coordinator. I get that. I respect Kyle Shanahan. I respect John Lynch. The 49ers have had the all season of hell. You didn't even mention Brandon Ayuk. Obviously, the owner, He out there doing
I don't
things
think.
that
I mean, I just assume Brandon Ayuk's not part of this team anymore.
well, he's still on the roster. So yeah, I mean he's not they cut him, so he's still on the roster. So you got Brandon Ayuk, you got the owner with the solicitation of a prostitute, you got that stuff, you got the injuries. So as you are not high on the Seattle Seahawks, I am not high on the San Francisco 49ers. I think the San Francisco 49ers missed the playoffs this season.
Okay. I could say I have them as the 7 seed. So very easily, we're talking about a difference between 1, 2 games, maybe one matchup with Seattle that could swing that. Not super high on the team, just betting on the talent. Mainly betting on Fred Warner and Joey Bosa coming back. This is a team that I watched win 12 games without them. I'm just counting on them coming back and making this defense, improving this defense.
No, I get it. I mean, they're all pro players, elite players. We know what they represent. So if you pick the 49ers to miss the playoffs on DraftKings, that is plus 122.
Don't mind it. Don't mind. Like I said, I have them as 7 seed, so it's not like I have them like stamped into the playoffs. But that is a good segue. We talked about who we think is going to win the division. We both had the Rams winning the division. We both had the Cowboys winning the division. You had the Lions. I had the Vikings. You had the Bucks. I have the Saints. So wild card teams outside of your division winners. So you have the Bucks, Cowboys, Lions, and Rams. Who do you have taking the 3 wild card spots here in the NFC?
I have the Green Bay Packers, the Minnesota Vikings. I just can't put it down. And I have the Seattle Seahawks. Those are my 17. So Tampa Bay, this is in no order. I don't think Tampa Bay is number one team, but just because we did the division first. Tampa Bay, Dallas, the Lions, the Rams, the Packers, Seattle, and Minnesota. Those are my 7 playoff teams.
So we have 5 of the same 7 teams. I have the Cowboys. We had both of the Cowboys and Rams winning divisions. I had the Lions and Packers both getting wild card spots. I had the 49ers getting the 7th wild card spot, and I had the Saints and the Vikings winning division. So we have 5 of the same teams in the playoffs. I think as we go through the bracket here, it's going to basically break out the same. So divisional round. How do I want to do this? I'll just go with yours. So you have the Rams taking the 1 seed, I assume.
Yeah, I think the Rams be the 1 seed.
I assume you have the Cowboys as the 2 seed. Let's see if I can guess all these. Or you have the Lions. You have the
I
Lions
have
and
the,
the Cowboys.
I have the Lions as a 2 seed.
You have the Lions at the 2 seed. The Cowboys at the 3 seed.
Yep.
You have the Bucks as a 4 seed.
Yep.
I'm assuming you have Minnesota as the 5 seed. Or Seattle.
I have Seattle as a 5 seed.
Okay, Minnesota as the 6.
No, Green Bay as a 6, Minnesota as a 7.
Gotcha. So you would have
I would have
so you got
Minnesota at Detroit.
at Detroit.
I would
Okay. You have
have
Detroit winning then.
yeah, I would take Detroit over Minnesota. I would have
You,
Seattle at go ahead, I'm sorry.
then you have the Packers at Dallas.
I like the Packers at Dallas. Dallas gets their revenge for that and beats Michael Parsons. I like the Cowboys. Then I
And you
would
have
have I would have Seattle and Tampa Bay. I'm gonna take Tampa Bay in that game. I think Tampa will win that game at home, and I think the regression of Seattle will show throughout the season. So I would take Tampa. Then I would have Tampa and the Rams. I like the Rams, and then you would have Dallas and Detroit. I think the Cowboys get to the NFC Championship game, so I'm
wow.
taking Dallas over Detroit. That would be I would take the Cowboys over Detroit. They would have beat them last year. They could have just they couldn't get a stop. It would beat them last year on Thursday night with the great Al Michaels and Chris. I was about to call him Chris Collinsworth. Lord mercy. The great Al Michaels and Kirk Herbstreit and Kaylee Harton on the call for Amazon Prime. The Cowboys would beat them last year. Just couldn't get the stop. I think the Cowboys' defense is the X factor in that game. I like the Cowboys to get to the NFC Championship game, but not to be funny. It really doesn't matter. 9-9, Cash Money, Aaron Donald, Myles Garrett, Sean McVay, Devontae Adams, Puka Nacua, Kyron Williams, Blake Corn. Think about this.
Too much. Too much.
I mean, come on. Oh yeah, Matthew Stafford, the MVP of the league. Yeah, we got him too. So yeah, the Rams, we're gonna win it. The Rams gonna win the NFC, man.
Yeah, it's hard to get away from. I actually have almost the same Final Four. So I have the Lions beating the Saints in the first round. I had the Packers beating the Vikings, or excuse me, the Vikings beating the Packers, Cowboys beating the 49ers. Then I have the Cowboys beating the Lions, Rams beating the Vikings, and then Rams beating the Cowboys in the NFC Championship game.
Yeah, I like the Cowboys this year. It's just that they just going against a team that's just like not to be funny. It's just like cheating. It's like some stuff you do on Madden. You can't
No, it's
even
the
do that.
team that went. They're the all-in team. They're they're the Golden State. They're the KD Warriors. They're just the
I
too much talent to fail team.
I think that again, and there's no disrespect to Sam Donald. I think they could have lost last year to anyone, but when they lost to him, they said, "No, we can't do this again." I really think that's what happened.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like we're all on the same wavelength. We had the same two finalists. Had a lot of the same division winners as well. Like you said, it's almost like we worked together or something. But Josh, always great to catch up with you and do this. Any parting thoughts or anything to plug on your way out?
So for me, just parting thoughts on the NFL season that's coming up. A lot of great teams, a lot of great rookies, specifically in the NFC. For me, I'm keeping my eye out on which coach is going to be the first one to get that pink slip. For me, again, it's a lot of teams that's questionable that could go either way. I think I picked the Bucks to win the division. You picked the Saints. If the Bucks don't win the division, I think Todd Bowles could be out. I picked Washington to be second in the division, and Washington is last in that division again. I think Dan Quinn could be out. So for me, it's a couple coaches in the NFC that I'm looking at to see who gets that pink slip. That's the first thing. My second takeaway is I've been saying this all episode. I think this is the Cowboys' year to get to the NFC Championship game, man. Again, a quiet off season, no noise, no nothing, just strictly football, talking ball, focusing on ball. Even when they get into practice fights with teams, they say, "Yeah, y'all not gonna poke us around." You found me? I love that. So, Cowboys keep that composure, stay healthy. They'll be in the NFC Championship game. And again, the last takeaway. I mean, all these teams in the NFC, they're just chasing the Rams. So,
Yeah.
you want to win the Super Bowl, build your team up like the Rams. F those picks. Trade for whoever and what you need to get to the Super Bowl.
Well, I do appreciate you coming on my podcast and saying all these nice things about my team. The check's in the mail, by the way. So I do.
Oh yeah,
appreciate
that's why I did it. That's why I did it. No, for real. You know, I've been hard on your team on Twitter.
Yeah.
You went back and forth.
Yeah.
You like the Cowboys. I've been quiet this off season for a reason. Stuff to talk about. They're doing what they're supposed to be doing. That making moves as an adequate football team. And again, I like teams that had success at the end of last season, and I know you're not carrying it over to this season, but the success that they had last season towards the end of it, because they could have made the playoffs if they would have won a couple games, mainly that game against Detroit, that'll propel the Cowboys into this season.
Yeah, same thing with the Vikings. The Vikings closed 5-0 as part of the reason.
5-0. They were most people don't remember. The Vikings were 9-8.
Yeah,
they were 9-8.
The Detroit was last place in that division. They got a. That's why their schedule is so damn easy. They're a fourth place team.
And I think Detroit was 9-8.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
technically last place. That's why they have the easy schedule.
I think, like as you said, brother, that's the best division in football. Every team in that division last season had to win a record.
Yeah. Well, like I said, Josh, always great to do this with you, and I owe you one. We'll do this again on your show, man.
Can't wait to see you on Highly Opinionated, brother. You keep doing great things here on the Let It Ride podcast. I watch every week. I'll definitely start promoting every week on Instagram and Twitter as much as I can, brother. Keep doing your thing, bro. You know, all love here.
Appreciate that, Josh. And that is going to do it for the Let It Ride podcast. Like I said, next time you see me, I'll be giving out picks for week 1. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you guys in a couple weeks.